views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are the content creator's own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of Essex County College. The material and information presented here is for entertainment and informative purposes only. It should not be considered as professional advice or a substitute for seeking professional guidance.
Stop and lower your guard. Here we have a chance for some adjustment. Give it a try, it's not that hard. I'm telling you, this life is amazing when you greet it with open arms. Whatever we face, we'll be fine if we're leading from the heart. No matter the place, we can light up the world. Here's how to start. Greet the world with open arms. Greet the world with open arms.
Hello. Welcome back, everybody. Another week, another day living, another day to be grateful, another day just to be happy that you're alive. You feel me? As I keep saying, you guys got clothes, you guys got water, y'all got food, you got a place over the head, to sleep. Not much really to complain about. Everything else is minuscule, especially in the face of what's going on. Today is going to be a little special episode. I have someone special in the booth with me today. He is a politician. He's trying to run for councilman ward, Newark Ward, Central Ward. Met him a couple of weeks ago at a coffee and conversations. Immediately knew that I wanted to interview him, see what he had going on because he had a very bright vision. I'm gonna let him introduce himself more. Please introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jhamar Youngblood, Newark native. What else? All right. Actually, I mean, I could go, but I think if you ask me some questions, I can get in more details.
I got you. We're gonna let the people know who exactly they are. First of all, you say you're Newark native, right?
Yes, sir.
Born and raised?
Yes, sir.
Which ward?
So I lived all over Newark. My mother spent most of our childhood chasing Section 8 housing, but most of my life has been in the Central Ward. So I moved out of the Central Ward by the time I was about 12, and I moved to other wards. I lived in the North Ward briefly with my grandfather. I lived in the South. I lived in the West Ward. My mom still is in the West Ward now. But most of my life has been in the Central Ward. I returned in 2015, and I've just been in the Central Ward since. So most of my life have been spent here in the Central Ward.
That's amazing. What's your favorite ward by far? You have to say.
It has to be the Central Ward.
Has to be Central.
Yeah, especially when I learned the history of the Central Ward. Historically, it's where most of the black people lived. So me being from the Central Ward, me knowing the history, this is where our people lived when they first migrated from the South. And the blacks that were here before the South, they lived in the Central Ward. And I believe it was called Ward 3 back in the day. Don't quote me on that. Like, I should know this for a fact, but I believe it was called Ward 3 back in the day.
All right, so for all my old heads out here, you already know what to do. Comment, fact check us, do what you gotta do.
Let us know if I'm on to something, if it was indeed called Ward 3.
All right. So we know your name, Mr. Youngblood, Jhamar, but who are you really? Like, tell us about yourself a little bit. Like, what do you like to do? What do you like to eat? What's your favorite color? Talk to us. Give us a little bit of history about you.
Yeah, let's just start with what I like to do. When I was younger, my mother looked at me and she said, Jhamar, you could do anything you want to do in this world. So when she said that to me, I remember this so vividly. She grabbed my cheeks after putting all this Vaseline on my face before I was going to school.
I love the black mothers.
She grabbed my cheeks and said, Jhamar, you could do anything you want to do in this world. So when you ask me, what do I like to do? Anything that I think of, to be honest. Whether it's making music, designing clothes, whether it's being an entrepreneur, creating apps, creating websites, physical art, I like to do it all. I have a creative mind. My mother was creative. I think I got a lot of my creativity from her. So she just empowered me. So
You're a jack of all trades, huh?
I think we all are jack of all trades. I just do it. You know what I mean?
For
like
the love of the game.
Yeah, like I just do it. Things look interesting out there. You know?
You see, oh, that looks interesting. How you do that? And
Exactly.
Then just
And
okay.
and the thing, all right, so let me give you some more context.
Talk to me.
When I was younger, my mother told me that I was diagnosed, that they diagnosed me with society anxiety disorder. Oh, no, social anxiety disorder, which is like a form of being on the spectrum. But my mother didn't tell me this until I was like probably 22.
She's probably getting checks off you and wasn't telling you.
I need to ask her if she was getting some checks off that, but she didn't tell me. But I noticed that I have this skill that I can fixate on something for a long period of time and just learn. So YouTube, I can spend hours on YouTube researching a topic or a skill or anything. And then a week later, I'm like, I'm an aficionado at this. I'm an expert. So
Okay.
I think my mom empowering me mixed with me probably being on the spectrum, I think that combination has led to a very confident individual.
Okay.
So
Mm-hmm.
I want to take credit, but a lot of who I am today
Goes to mom.
goes to my mother 1,000%.
Shout out to moms.
Yep, shout out to my mother.
Right. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Now, is there anything you say you were particularly like just a master at? Like, this is your one thing that you backhand, fronthand, can do whatever, no matter what it is.
Yeah, I think the two things that I know the most about in this world are basketball, because I've been playing basketball since I was like 5 years old. So basketball and social communication technology. So building chat apps or building chat websites, anything online where people can communicate with each other. I think those are my two things that I'm like, that I think I can go toe to toe with. Well, I'm 37 now. I can't go toe to toe with the young kids, but anybody my age.
Hey, you as young as you feel. So if you feel like you're 15, go ahead with the 15-year-old. I'm not saying go ahead with the 15.
Until I get weird injuries, which I had yesterday from running at 5 miles per hour on the treadmill.
Oh,
so
man.
I'm getting up there. I just got to
man.
stretch. I just got to stretch. That's all. I need to start stretching more before I do anything physical. I'm at that age now.
So for those that are under 30, this is what we got to look forward to in our future. Let me tell you, it's a scary prospect. And for those that are over 30 and over 40, drop some hints. Let us know your routines. How do y'all stay, feeling young, rejuvenated, and not all creaky and springboard? Huh? Give us some tips here. We need some help. All right, so we know who you are.
Yep.
We know you came from Newark, Central Ward. You're in your 30s, 40s,
Yep.
kind of old.
37 is getting up there. But that's the main reason why I wanted to run for city council, because most of the things I wanted to do in my life, I think I've accomplished them for the most part. And, being from the hood, I didn't have many ambitions other than wearing Jordans, like getting every Jordan like I ever wanted. I feel like low key, because I grew up in the 90s. Michael Jordan was everything. So
Okay.
just that influence. So I damn near had every Jordan I ever wanted. So after that, it was like now it's time to just give my life over to the people. So I reached that age where it's like
You locked in.
I'm locked into helping people. I think my life, for the most part, as I knew it, is probably pretty much over. So now it's like this next part of my life is actually using all of the wisdom and the experience I've gathered throughout these 37 years to go transfer that energy to the people in the city that I love.
Okay. So as we both mentioned, you're running to be Councilman Central Ward Newark, right?
Yes, sir.
What got you into that? What made you want to be like, hey, I need to stand up now and make a change? What made you want to be councilman?
My earliest memories of doing anything political was going into Sharp James's office, his campaign office when I was young. Sharp James, are you familiar with Sharp James? He was the mayor before Cory Booker.
I'm a little bit familiar, not too much.
Okay, so Sharp James was the mayor before Cory Booker. He served in office for about 20 or so years, probably close to 30 years as the mayor. Yeah, and then he was in council probably 8 to 12, I think like 8 years before that. He also was a senator at the. He was a state senator and he was the mayor at the same time. And my grandmother used to work his campaign when I was younger. So I remember being in his office looking at all the yard signs and signage that he had. So I was aware of kind of what was going on. I was aware that you had these officials, these elected officials that their job was to serve the people essentially. And ever since I was young, I feel like that's all I wanted to do was just help the people somehow. And for a long period of time, I was fixated on just acquiring wealth and then using that wealth to give back and to create my own programs to help people.
Okay.
Things changed when I started to really pay attention to the people that we have in our offices today. So when I looked at the elected officials that we had today, I just was like, oh boy, this
not the best.
Not the best, not inspiring, just
Bunch of old heads sitting around with power.
there you go. So I was in grad school up at Dartmouth College, and I took out an ad to be mayor of Newark in 2020. This was in 2013. And everyone was replying like, yeah, do it. We need better. We need better. So that was on my mind. And I would make music. I would like put bars out there about
Okay, so you got a couple
yeah,
hits on YouTube.
You know what I'm saying? I do.
You're gonna have to drop a link.
But that was the AI me, because some
Okay.
of those bars have like curses and stuff. I don't know who that person is. I'm not that person anymore.
I feel like those that curse a lot just have a higher intelligence and don't care about showing it.
There you go. I like that. So I took out the ad and I was making music about it. Then the seat opened up.
Okay.
Our current Congress member, her name is LaMonica McIver. She was the Central Ward Council person, and she left to go to Congress. So I'm just like, if I ever were to get into politics, this would be the optimum time to do it. Right now, you know, just me going at this independent, no political bosses, no political parties behind me, just me forming my own grassroots organization and working directly with the residents.
What's the grassroots called?
Our Newark.
Our Newark?
Our Newark.
Our
Yep.
Newark.
So we created a grassroots organization called Our Newark, and our mission is to transform Newark through cultural preservation, innovation, and civic engagement.
Okay.
So I did that. And here we are today. I made it here with you, man.
Yeah, here we are.
I made it here with you. This is the first podcast, or this is the first media or interview that I've done about the campaign. So
oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm honored. Thank you for
yes, sir.
coming
Yes,
on.
sir.
All right. So basically you was young. You had a bunch of people behind you. It was like, I got fresh ideas. I feel like I can make this better. I got a better community. And you came out here and started campaigning.
Yeah, my version of campaigning. My version.
Tell me about that.
Just because
What's different about yours versus the normal campaigning?
I'm working directly with the people to create the platform, to figure out my stances on issues, to understand the problems, because I'm coming from a software background where to build software, user feedback and user data is the most important thing. So my mentality was already there. I just transferred that approach. Yeah, that approach to building products to building legislation and building things or programs or agencies that can increase the quality of life for residents. So I think that's the difference. I don't know. I'm like a nerd, man. I'm like a nerd. I'm not running for office to get clout. I don't think I can get more clout than I already have now.
Yeah, I looked at your Instagram page, Mr. Worldwide over here.
Nah, man, nah. But I'm saying, like, I was making music. I was making apps. I created an app, and we were the first app in Apple's App Store to allow users to earn and spend crypto. So I've done things that were legendary in different spaces. I played basketball at a very high amateur level, and I lived a fun life. You know, I think this is my time to actually take that experience, take that wisdom, and share it with the youth. You know, like that's my most important thing, is to be someone that I didn't have growing up.
We all know that feeling. We all want that person.
There you go. Yep. So if I can, and I'm sure my presence is already doing it, because people look at me and they like, yo, you're like 22, you're 23 running for office. I'm like, bro, I'm 37. So, but my representation and how I carry myself, how I dress, my hair is very youthful. So I think I symbolize something to the youth already, just me existing.
You're like a bridge between the youth of now and what's possible in the old heads of the past who, you know, I always think that old heads, they have the knowledge, but the youth have the strength, right? So you let the old heads step aside, be advisors, and let the youth come up and do things. And then we need people like you, be the bridge, you know, the middleman, the guy that has the best of both worlds. Still got your little youth, little passion, but still got that knowledge.
Well, I think nowadays, I think the youth have knowledge too, because they have access to tools. So I wouldn't say the information is the most important thing. I think it's a different set of skill sets, or different set of skill set that older people have.
Okay.
Because they've seen so much. So they can recognize patterns. They could recognize, like, they could just foresee things because they have so much data of being here for decades.
Okay.
Where there may be times where the youth, if you don't have an elder around you, you may have to guess, or you may have to just go experiment. But just by being around for so long, you just pick up on patterns. So I think the elders can spot patterns, which can save them time. Okay. You know, so I think there is a difference, but it's just only in recognizing patterns. But you're right. The youth do have the energy. They have the strength. They have the time. They don't have, so many youth don't have kids, or they don't have real life commitment. So there are advantages of both. And I do like the idea of being a bridge, of saying, okay, let me take the information from the elders, let me translate it in a way that the youth can understand.
Yeah, that's what we gotta do. And I like that. I like your statements. I like your thinking. That's very good thinking. Mm-hmm. All right. So you said, you know, you saw some things in the communities that you want to change. What exactly are those things that need to be changed, and how do you plan on changing those? What are some things that you have in mind to change Newark?
I think the first problem that bothers me is the fact that wages are not keeping up with cost of living. And what I mean by that is minimum wage is not increasing, but the CEO's salaries are increasing. So back in the day, there was a closer gap between the CEO of a company and the workers. Now that gap is basically enormous. So it's just like you have unchecked capitalism out there that are basically exploiting people and taking every cent that they can from people. So I'm looking at this like capitalism, there's no conscience, especially when it's unchecked and the government is not regulating. And even if they do regulate, there's no accountability on the government with some of these businesses. So businesses can essentially do whatever they want
Factual.
to residents, and there's no repercussions. So between that and me looking at how most of the people who are struggling today got into this situation, I realized that it was policy. It was like a lot of racist policy that were put into place by government officials that got us into the position that we're in today. So my thinking is, if policy can get us into this situation, policy has to help us get out this situation. And I don't think many of our elected officials are thinking like that. So if I can bring this message to a city like Newark where anything is possible, I feel like in Newark, because we're a big enough city, but we're also slept on.
Very much so.
Anything is possible here. We've seen it, but so many people have took that mentality to do messed up things, whether it's be corrupt or just wow out completely. I'm saying, no, what if we take this anything possible mentality and we go for it and actually try to serve residents and try to be that example for many other black cities out there on how you can govern and how you can serve black residents. And the reason why I'm going to continue to mention black residents is because history in America shows that when black people get justice, everyone gets justice. You look at the civil rights. Once black people got civil rights, everyone got civil rights. So I think that still applies today. So if we focus on the black conditions and serving black people correctly, then I think everyone else in our city will benefit from black people being uplifted.
Okay, so start with one population, build it up, build it strong, and let it spread.
I mean,
well, not to say start with one population, but kind of focus.
So we have a Newark30 plan, right? And in our Newark30 plan, it's not really focused on race.
Okay.
It's more so focused on
Social
status.
class.
Status. So we have 4 categories. We have emergency, surviving, doing okay, and doing well.
Okay.
So emergency is people who are struggling with basic necessities such as food, shelter, and safety. Surviving is people barely making needs meet but not secure. Doing okay is able to meet basic needs but with little to no savings or investments. And doing well is financially stable with disposable income and savings.
Okay.
So the reason I mention black people is because this is still a black city where 50% of our residents are black.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
And when you look at the poorest people in our city, it's single mothers. Like single mothers are the poorest people in our city, black single mothers.
Okay.
So it's like, I feel like you can only judge the status of a city based on how well their
lowest class
is treated and doing. So that's why when I look at the lowest class, it's black women. So that's why I'm focused on this idea of how do we help black poor people in the city?
Okay.
Because I think once we solve that, our city is going to blossom.
Okay. Okay. All right. Now I know you talked about real estate before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything in mind or any plans for our landlords and curbing them, or any plans to help stop these quote unquote affordable housing that's going on?
I have so many ideas, and my top idea is the city or the state or the government needs to get back into real estate.
Okay.
There was a while when the city was involved in building new real estate or new housing to solve housing crisis. Ronald Reagan stopped that because his idea was the government should do less. Okay. So that's when you had a lot of these private companies that serve our populations who can't afford like market rate rent. So I think the first thing we need to do, the city needs to get back into building housing.
Okay.
And with that, I know some people may say, oh yeah, you just talking. Where are you going to get the money to pay for this? That's why we created Newark30. And Newark30 is a plan to make Newark self-sufficient and transparent by the year 2030. Okay. And self-sufficiency means we can figure out ways to generate income without having to beg the federal government, take out loans, or beg the governor. It's like, or raise taxes on property owners. It's like, can we figure out new ways to make new revenue where we can fund some of the services like building new homes?
Okay.
Or providing low-cost food or medicine or clothing, the essentials.
Okay.
So that's my idea. My idea is, I think in order to protect residents from unchecked capitalism, I feel like the city needs to have a more business focus and figure out how can we keep some of the money that is being made in the city, how can we have it remain in the city and circulate? Because what's happening now is we've built this culture of exploitation in the city where so many people think they can just come into this city and just make money. Similar how it is in New York, where it's kind of soulless. It's like, there's no community here. It's just a bunch of random people in here trying to get it. But I'm just like, no, Newark, like we have a big community here, and we just don't want to become the next New York or Jersey City or Brooklyn. We like our community here, and I think that we can balance the private market and the public market in the city. And I created something called the freedom economic theory where I speak on that. I say there has to be a way that we can balance a private market for people who want to participate in regular day capitalism, where you go shop at a place like Papa John's or Domino's Pizza. But then there's a public market where the city of Newark has their own pizza parlor as well.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So the city of Newark has their own pizza parlor. The city of Newark has their own housing options, has their own grocery stores, has their own clothing options. And that way we can provide services to residents at lower prices because we're not trying to exploit them.
It's all community based.
It's all community based. And then you make it where those services or those businesses turn into worker-owned co-ops. So now you have equity, or you probably have something that you can pass down to the next generation.
Generational wealth.
Okay. Some type of equity where you're just not a user or a consumer. You are participating in something that can give you some type of real life value. Because right now, so many people are working so hard, so many jobs with no real value. And the only value they have is a deflating currency. Okay. So it's just, again, like I said, policy put us into the situation that we're in. I think that policy can help get us out.
Policy got it in, policy can get us out.
Mm-hmm. And it's that simple. I think it's that simple. I think, and I know it's only on a local level, but I think when you look at the school board budget of $1.5 billion to educate about 30 to 40,000 kids. And when you look at the city's budget, which is $1 billion, that's enough. That's enough to provide quality of life to residents. You just need the political willpower to do it. And I don't think our elected officials today have that willpower because their influencers or their influences didn't have the willpower.
Okay. All right. I see the vision. Hey, chat, listening, those that are listening out there, I know you guys have some comments. I know you guys have some thoughts about it. Please write it down. Let us know. Let him know. Write something that might help him out. Give him some knowledge he may not know.
Please.
And if you're a hater, hate.
Please hate.
Please hate, because the more you hate, the more he's going to do better to try to prove you wrong.
There's so much. Well, I'm probably not going to be thinking about the haters, but there's so much data in hate because sometimes people hate so much that they may give you a new idea or something.
You hate so much, you get a new idea. I like that.
Yeah, seriously.
I like that.
So there's so much data in hate. I think I got to where I am. I think I got to where I am today because of hate. So I embrace the hate.
I embrace the hate.
I embrace the hate.
I like that.
ETH, embrace the hate.
ETH, embrace the hate. You want to get down the shirt. All right. So my next question to you, because we talked about school a little bit, right? What are your plans for the schools, especially me being a film major? What are your plans for the arts in schools?
Yeah, so that's two questions. Let me answer the first question. I think what we need to do in our schools is we need to think about this from first principles thinking. And first principles thinking is just this idea of let's just like start a fresh conversation, but let's start from the most basic truth or fact.
Okay.
And I think the most basic truth or fact may be that we have a reading problem in our city where they are saying most of our kids can't read.
Sadly, it's true. I confirmed that a lot of them are under the level they're supposed to be reading at.
You see what I'm saying? So I think first principles is like, okay, we can't read. Maybe the first question is, let's look at the parents of the students who can't read, right? So let's look at the parents. Maybe there's a correlation between single mothers and the students that can't read. So maybe back to my idea of how do we pay attention to our most vulnerable members of our society.
You help them out. You help the kids in school.
You get what I'm saying?
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? So it's just like, yes, some of these problems may be educational problems, but they may not be educational problems at all.
It might just be the situation.
It may just be the situation. So if we can look at this holistically and while also looking at it from first principles thinking, I think we can do educational education reform in a cool way, because poverty is attached to so many of these things that we have going on in our community. It's attached to crime. It may be attached to the low reading rates, the low math rate. So we need to think about it from that perspective. But that's just one of many ideas I have. We have a full detailed breakdown on what we are going to be focused on as far as education. It's not necessarily the education of the children, but it's the education also of adults, because there are a lot of adults out there who probably want a career change, or there's a lot of adults out there who can do so many jobs that are available that they probably don't need a college degree to do. But if we can train them and we can give them these new insights or these new educations, they're more qualified
for that job,
for those jobs.
And then they get better income, better revenue.
There you go.
Bring that home, and that cycles.
There you go. There you go. You see it. You see it. Yep. And as far as the arts, one thing I do give Ras Baraka credit for is his investments in the arts in Newark. Not saying that those funds always go to the most talented or the most qualified, but there has been an effort to build our art scene.
Okay.
What I plan to do, I plan to open that up. I plan to open it up to not just the insiders, but if we can just scale what's happening downtown in the art scene all over Newark, not just downtown, but in every single ward, there's some type of educational art space or educational or a place where people can showcase their art. I think that's probably the biggest thing too. There's not too many places where struggling, quote unquote, struggling artists can showcase their art, or artists can get together and collab. So I think most of ideas just come from first principles thinking and saying, what can we do to solve this problem that makes sense to us here in Newark? Not anywhere else in other cities or other countries. We have a distinct culture in Newark. How can we design for that specifically and that only? I think we need to have a Newark focused approach to many of our problems.
I can totally agree with you on that. And like I said, I'm a heavy arts enthusiast. Newark is one of the birthplace for major forms of art, from film to writing to poetry to dancing. Like Newark is that place. And for those that don't know what's going on in Newark, as far as the arts goes, there's a lot has been funneling of more grants and monies to independent filmmakers and studios and stuff like that. So there's a lot of filming going on in Newark. There's a lot of poets going out there and doing big shows. It's a lot of photographers and videographers out there. So the arts is going strong, but it's like maybe 5-6 blocks in downtown Newark that is really getting seen. So if we can get this spread out to the rest of Newark, because I promise you there are probably a bunch of 16, 17-year-olds riding their own bars right now, wishing they had like a place to go or going to a park or something like that, right? So guys, in the comments, drop some ideas, drop some knowledge, drop some ways. If you know a space where young performers and independent artists can go and perform or do their shows or just put on something, let us know. I know that some people are, struggling and stuff like that, but we can all just come together and just like spread the knowledge. Artists, we all have some type of opportunity. We have some knowledge, also connections. If we can just get together and work together, I promise you, Newark will be back on top like it's supposed to be in New Jersey. Yep. So I'm really liking your plan. Now, is there a website people can go to see more about your vision, your dreams, your aspirations?
Yes, sir. Newark30.org. Newark30.org is our platform and our plan to make our city more self-sufficient and transparent. And Jhamar.com, JHAMAR.com, or Jhamar25.com. That's where you can go for my campaign information.
Okay. And, you guys, we already had that mid-election earlier this month. For those who was voting for Roz, sorry to say that someone else got that spot. But that's okay, because we got another election coming up in November.
Yep. That's
the one that's really matters, the ones that really count the most. Please go out and vote. And if you guys keep saying, oh, our voice don't matter or vote don't matter, look at what's happening now. Look at what the last time y'all didn't vote or vote for one person. Look who we have in office. We have the power to change and the power to do things. If you want someone in office, find out who they are, research them, research their plan, research their vision, and support them. Now, I'm independent. I don't pick any side, and I technically can't choose a side. And to Jhamar's, opponents out there, I try to get in contact with y'all, but you guys don't have no emails, no phone numbers. Y'all have a LinkedIn, but why is it so hard to get in contact with y'all? Even Mr. Youngblood over here, it took me a while because and granted, life happens, but jeez, y'all politicians, man, so hard. So For any of his competitors out there, if you guys have anything you want to say, if you want to come on this podcast and spit your side and see why we support you, let me know.
They aren't going to come.
They aren't going to come?
They aren't going to come. I'm telling you. They're just doing the things that the people who asked them to run are doing. They're not going to come. They're not going to come up here and have any real authentic conversation. And the reason I think is because they don't have a plan. Okay. It's just all talk. If you hear them talk, they're not saying nothing of substance. It's just the same old political jargon. And I'm just saying we are tired of that.
Ain't that the truth?
Like, we're tired of it. What are you going to do once you're in office? How can we hold you accountable? How are you going to make that easier? What are you going to do about our top problems? What are your plans for single mothers in the city? They're not going to say, they don't have any ideas. They just say, I'm going to make the streets safer. I'm going to support small businesses. Or we need somebody in there who knows what's going on and who look like us, who understand us. What does that mean?
What does that mean?
But I hope they would come and prove me wrong, but I highly doubt it based on their actions.
Well, you guys heard it here first. Well, second, I heard it first.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge. Come out. Prove him wrong. Say what you got to say. Prove to the community why they should choose you over him. If not, then what he stands is true. I'm sorry to say. At least shoot us an email. I'm at Essex County College. My name is Jeri Johnson. My email is jerijohnson78@gmail.com. You could hit me up on there. You can find me on Instagram. My tag is Otaku Poet, OTAKUP0ET. You can come up to Essex County College School. You can come up here. We want that. We need that. I'm trying to get y'all to come up here because we need more funding. Please don't y'all won't have so much to say. Say it on here. This is a perfect platform. I'm not charging y'all anything. Y'all getting free publicity. What's to lose? Really, what's to lose?
They're not going to come because they know that most of their support is coming from city workers or seniors, because those are the only people who vote historically. There's no representation of the youth in city council. The youth is not part of their constituency or their voting base. So why would they go talk to someone who they know don't have the people who are going to support them and vote for them? They don't think about the things that we're thinking about. They just think about, how can I win this election? That's all they think about, is how can I win elections?
Well, let me tell you guys this, as a guy that, just a normal guy. The best way to win elections is to listen to the people that you're fighting for and do what you need to, or do what you can do for them to help a better life. And just because you don't think young people are out there, best believe us young folks are out there. We are voting now. We are getting out there. Gen Z, even Gen Alpha is getting out there now. And this is about to lead us to our next event. Thank you, Mr. Youngblood, for coming over here. I'm glad you came to join us and came to talk your piece, and hopefully we see you again.
Yes, sir.
Please stick around. I think I might have you read a couple of things or two.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys. That's enough of the personal politics for now. Like I said, this has to be a very unbiased platform. You know me. I like to just give y'all the information, and this is one of your local Newark Ward Councilman runner-ups. And honestly, if you want to go out, he's the top candidate I've seen so far.
Yes, sir.
He has my vote thus far. Unless I get proven otherwise, he has my vote thus far. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about this. June 14th, Saturday. Oh, what a big day that was, huh? Now, this whole weekend was just crazy. First thing first, I just want to say, America, I am proud of you. I am proud. And black people too. Because I mentioned this before, how black people, we did one little protest and sat down because we thought it wasn't our job. Nah, if you want to fight, keep fighting. Don't lose that momentum. So the fact that I saw everybody of all different races, genders, identities, just out there in force, that proves that, we do have some type of morality. I like that. June 14th, for those that have been living under a rock, because no way you did not know, Donald Trump decided to, quote unquote, celebrate the military by having them run a parade for his birthday. Now, I've seen the footage. I've seen the videos. It was empty, very lackluster, no crowds really. All you heard in the videos were a bunch of squeaky tanks. The people that were there were workers that, had to be there because, they were forced to. And a lot of them were yawning or in their phones. Even Donald Trump himself was caught pouting. And I'm not confirming or denying this because I've seen some couple of images, but one of them was like AI. But he has been seen pouting and crying because of how empty it was. Right? And the main reason why that was empty was because all around the U.S. and all around the world, actually, we had a thing called the No King's Day protest. No King's Day is exactly what it means. No kings. Everybody went out and basically said their piece, like, "Yo, we don't support this. We don't support ICE. We don't support the administration. Y'all need to change our ways, and we're gonna get you out of here." And I like that. Keep up that energy. Unfortunately, also over the weekend, some bad things happened. Same time as those rallies was going on, mind you, these were all peaceful protests. Everyone that went out to protest, peaceful. But there were some violent insurrections in them. There were some people that shot into a crowd. There was a guy that drove his car into a crowd. A few people got injured. There was a assassin in Minnesota who attacked legislators. He attacked a total of 4 that I've confirmed. 2 of them have died, and 2 of them are still alive. All of them were Democrat. Trump has now put into word that he wants ICE to start ramping up their activities in blue states, in blue cities. That's bad news for us. That means we need to be more vigilant, more eyes open, know your rights. And as much as I wish that was all that's going on, that's not. Iran and Israel have been attacking each other back and forth. And they both declare war on each other. So far, none of the allies have jumped in, but preparations are being made on both sides. China, Russia are both preparing. Germany and the UN are preparing. Europe is preparing. There are even talks of how Germany is to march through Poland and march with them into Russia if things get to that bad. And I don't know if you guys know history as well as I do, but Germany, the last time the Germany was in Poland was not a good thing. So the fact that Germany is marching with Poland to go into Russia, that should tell you how bad it really is. And I keep trying to tell you that I don't want to fearmonger you. I don't want y'all to get scared or anything like that. But we need to start preparing. Just because what we see on what we consider third world countries is happening far away does not mean it's not affecting our neighbors. It's not affecting that lady across the street. It's not affecting that old man at the coffee shop that you go to or the bodega that you like to go to. I was watching one of the videos, and basically one of the places that got attacked was similar to the Octagon in the U.S., right? The lady was giving a press conference on live, and next thing you know, you just hear and see missiles dropping, room shaking, room terrible. She came back along 5 minutes later, but just think, if that could happen like that, you don't think America is like that? You know how many top cities we have? Like, we're not as safe as it is. And we already going through our problems with the ICE and having our little civil war with the ICE and stuff like that. We don't be prepared. Mr. Youngblood, you got any advice that you want to?
Any advice on Trump, no kings, Iran, and Israel. I studied globalization studies in grad school.
Okay.
So I like to speak on this stuff through that context where a lot of my opinions are rooted in data.
Okay.
And data that I just like. That's just how.
So you information. You straight information.
I'm straight information, not just quantitative, not just the numbers though, but also talking to people. Okay. And I think when you look at the current situation we're in with the No Kings protests, only thing I have to say is young people, please start to take on the responsibility to try to lead. Only because I don't think older people are going to be as lucid or as open-minded with their thinking when it comes to unity. Because I've heard stories from non-Mexican, like let's do whatever. I've heard stories from black people who are probably like late millennials or older, where they say they look at the numbers, the turnout with Donald Trump's election, and they're like, oh, look how many Mexican people voted for Donald Trump. And now you don't support Donald Trump because he's going heavy on ICE. And now it's like, oh, now y'all want us to fight with y'all. And there's a place where someone probably will entertain that or think that that's valid. But these are older people. But the younger people are just like, no, that's wrong. What's wrong is wrong. Right? So that's why I'm suggesting like younger people, please start to step up, because there's a lot of older people who are just like stuck in their ways. And some cases, they have these arguments that they think are justified and logical. And once you find someone who feel like they have an argument that's both justified and logical, it's going to be tough changing their opinions. So that's all I have to say about that particular thing. Is just making it a challenge on young people to share their perspectives or share their outlooks on things, because maybe they can influence a lot of older people. I don't know. Israel and
let's just say Middle East for now, because Middle East is all different little mini wars going on right now.
Yeah.
India and Pakistan are still going at it.
I know. But because like, I wonder how much of that comes from religion. That a lot of people, I don't hear people talking about it. Like, it's just like, because there were these things, you just said you're a history person. There were these things called holy wars. Mm-hmm. Like, that legit happened. And to act like remnants of that energy is still not here is kind of weird to me. It's kind of weird when that's not like the top thing. That's like, are these legit religious conflicts? I don't hear people talking about that. So that's why I'm just like, something else might be at play. Because if we had the holy wars and they're still fighting over land that they both think is holy, why are we not talking about religion? And this is above probably what I should be talking about, because it's really complex and people may actually take my complex ideas and try to frame me to be whatever they want me to be.
Guys, this is a politician. Please do not, take his words to heart. He's just giving his opinion.
I'm just being honest about how I think about this stuff. Mm-hmm. Where I don't want to be a politician. I just want to be a person who the people elected me to do a job. And that gives me the freedom to be honest. I feel like when you think you're a politician, it's like that's when you probably gotta swindle and you gotta lie because you playing a game. I'm just trying to be a regular person who has energy and questions.
Just a chill guy.
I'm just a chill guy from Newark, New Jersey. I'm just a chill guy from the Central Ward of Newark, New Jersey. That's all I am.
No brick city.
That's all I am. So, man, these things are complicated. They're like I love talking about them, but I think they're too complicated to just have me give a hot take. You know what I'm saying? I get caught up trying to give a hot take and sound smart. And in 2 years, younger people were like, remember you said this on this podcast?
That's the thing about being famous, man. Let me tell you.
I'm just like, but it's also, you got to be conscious. You got to be authentic, I think. Like, being famous is cool, but if you authentic and people know that you're being your true self or you're not just up there chatting, I think that's the most important part. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to show people that you could be regular. You can, like, just be yourself. Like, we not perfect. Like, again,
you could just be you.
You could just be you, man. You could just be you. So a lot of this stuff is complicated, and without having practice on a fully prepared answer that I think can appease everyone, I'm just going to be up here, like, getting downloads from my ancestors. Like, ancestors, how should I answer this question? And then it come out, and then how it come out, at that point, that's none of my concern. Historically, it's never been of any of my concern. But this is my first podcast. You get what I'm saying? So maybe my teammate, my teammates are going to listen to this and be like, "Yo, no more Middle East talk.
we gotta have a set structure."
Yeah, no more.
So I
Middle
apologize
East
to
talk.
his partners and his teams if I'm going too far. My bad. We could work out some more questions for another future episode. But this is what's honestly, at the same time, as much as I understand that, we come to a point where in America and the world, and we come to a point where it does not matter what you say now because you're of repercussions. No, you're speaking on what's going on. As long as you're speaking the truth and what's going on and how you feel, damn it be all. Now, if you're wrong morally or corruptly or whatever the case may be, have those people fact check you and set you about that, right? It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to change your opinions. It's okay to grow. That's what we do as humans. We grow every day. So, like, even my thinking from 2 years ago, if you would have met me 2 years ago, I'm a completely different person than I am now. Things change. However, stuff like this is not okay. And then those that have been following the Middle East and actually kind of they know that this is more about land, control over certain spots, and control over that little trading strip of water canal that they got going on. That's what this major problem is. That's what this all really is.
I don't even hear them talking about that. They just talk about Hamas. They talk about Zionists.
See, this is why
all these keywords, and it's just like, I mean, listen, on YouTube, if you find different people who want to speak up on this topic, you may hear different
opinions.
Perspectives. Yeah, but general population and mainstream media, the way they talk about this is, and the way they talk about everything is just propaganda. So I just try to not just be a part of that propaganda. And I don't know, maybe sometimes I may just be trying to be too much or try to do too much by, like, trying to be open-minded. Maybe sometimes the information is right there in your face and what you see is the actual truth. Maybe that's the truth sometimes. But I think I'd like this idea of looking at data and doing research and listening to people speak and listening and combining that with the numbers, and then coming up with some type of response or have an opinion on it, rather than just listening to one particular angle or just one news source or something. So, but I think that's what's going to make me a good elected official, because I'm looking at I'm taking that nerdy approach to these problems.
That's a big fact. And like I keep telling you guys, I check multiple sources. I actually read multiple sources. I see what's going on. And so what I'm telling you is it's not just, 1, 2 sources that I see on the first page of Google. No, I've actually been seeing this. This stuff is crazy out here. And like I said, at any point, at anything I've said so far, please go do your research, come fact check me. And I want you to, because that means that you actually cared and actually did your research. And an educated person is a dangerous person.
Educated person is a dangerous person.
So, guys, I don't know how much I have to tell you this. Don't panic, but also be prepared. War
so
is
when
here.
you say be prepared, I'm sorry, but like so when you say be prepared,
Yes.
what do you suggest? And I'm speaking because there's people who are just overwhelmed with their lives. Like, so someone that can't afford groceries or can't afford their rent this month, what does be prepared look like for them from your perspective?
From my perspective, being prepared is gathering what you can. Information, clothing, materials, whatever. There are a lot of resources out there, right? There are soup kitchens that will give you canned goods and stuff like that. There are places and little mobilevilles that help you with finding clothes and finding places to sleep and stuff like that. That's good. But we also need to be prepared of if and when this war does go into war mode. That means we need to know our drafting laws so that we know who can be drafted and who cannot be drafted. We need to know our shelter places, radioactive shelter places, so that, if God forbid nukes do start coming this way, we know where to go. We need to start learning certain basic survival instincts, like how to build a fire. Simple, right? We need to know how to tie a proper knot. We need to know different types of healing plans. Now, I'm not saying, be an expert at it, but know enough that you can survive. And for those that don't have money, you may not have money, but you have materials. There's a thing called where some people grow up in like a cooking household, and then there are people that grow up with an ingredient household. The cooking household, when I say cooking, I mean like this is a household where they had pre-made food, prepared food. All they had to do was open the fridge or freezer and pop it in the microwave or oven for a few minutes, and then boom. Then you had those that were ingredient households where they had to look in the cabinet, scrounge around, find a bunch of different things, and then come together to create a meal. In this situation, you want to be an ingredient household. You have a bunch of stuff lying out. You have wax lying around. Start preparing candles. You have a bunch of flashlights that you have lying around. Start getting batteries. Start stocking up on that. You have soap. Don't use all the fancy soap. Get some bar soap so you have stocked up. Clothing and stuff like that. You have time. Instead of doom scrolling all your days away, learn how to sew a little bit. Like I said, you don't have to be perfect in everything, but surviving and being prepared is needed. Start finding out where your loved ones are going to be, right? Start finding out what plans you guys have in time, because when crap hits the fan, it's going to hit the fan, and we might not have internet service. So we need to have a plan of where we're going to meet up if that does happen, and how we're going to survive from there. Who's driving? Who's bringing the food? Who's bringing the baby? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? It's more than about just having the material things. It's about having a plan so that when things do go down, if they go down, God forbid they don't, then you know what to do and don't panic. Because a panic state is what really gets people. People start panicking, start trying to rob, start getting violent, start trying to do this, that, and third. No. Stay cool, calm, collected. Check on your neighbors. You know you got that elderly aunt over there. See what she got. See how you can help her. See how you can help her prepare. Make sure that she has, like, Let's be honest. All the older folks, like if you're over like 45, 50, you got a bunch of cans in your house. Let's keep it a buck. You got a bunch of cans in your house. You got a bunch of extra like detergents and soaps and stuff. We're going to need that. And then also look at the ingredients for things like apple cider and bleach and stuff like that, because they can be used for remedies to help heal as well. Don't panic. Don't start buying a bunch of meats and stuff like that that's going to get rotten within 2 days because you don't forgot about it. But start preparing, start stocking up on essential things.
That's good. We have an emergency preparedness plan in our Newark30 plan.
Okay.
And some of that is in there. But let me ask you, a lot of the stuff you mentioned, like how to build a fire or about the herbs, are you comfortable with your tax dollars being spent to teach children that? Because I think the curriculum in Newark schools can be different.
Yes, I am very comfortable with that. I was a kid that did a lot of things, but I also learned a lot. I went to my local libraries. I learned how to cook and garden at my library. There's been stuff taken out of schools like home economics and workshops that we used to have that we don't have no more. These things are life skills that everybody needs. And if we can get them back in school, then yes, I will full-heartedly appreciate that. I went camping as a kid, like actual all-way camping, how to build camps. So like I know that. But there's not other kids out there that don't. There's other people out there that don't, has never done that. There are other people that has never left their little city. And it's just like, if we can get them to teach just a little bit how to tie a knot proper, like a proper sturdy knot, how to actually set up a campfire with the ring of stones and the TP setup. If we could teach them the basics between poison ivy, which has 3 leaves, and a regular 4-leaf clover.
You should think about running for school board, man.
Me? No. I'm more information. I get down on the ground, get the information, and send it out to other people. I'm the type of person that helps plants the seeds, and then as soon as I see the first sprout and know that they're growing, find out something else, start building something else. There's a lot of things I realize as are wrong in the world, and a lot of things I want to fix. Before I wasn't confident, and then I had the necessary things, motivation or tactics to go through it. But I realized that if I want to be the change, if I want to see change where I have to be the change I want to see in the world. I have to start doing better if I want to see better.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a butterfly effect, people.
I love that. Yeah, man. But I think there's a lot of people in Newark that are just like you or who think like you, but you wouldn't know it. I'm one of them because I understand everything you're saying. Now imagine if we get enough of us together, because you don't need that many people to create massive change, specifically or like in a city like Newark, where the mayor, he won with 12,000 votes in a city of 160,000 registered voters. He won with 12,000. So, and he's responsible for a budget of $1 billion. So you got one person that's saying where resources are going. Now imagine if you can get those resources reallocated to the right energies. I'm talking about you'll see change so fast in the city. You'll see change so fast. That's why transparency is like a big part of our platform, because people need to see how those tax dollars are being spent. Because how those tax dollars are being spent, there's a direct correlation between the residents' quality of life. And if we don't know how they're spent right now, how do we know that money is used effectively? We don't. That's the thing, we don't. We don't know anything as residents. So how are we going to hold people accountable when we don't have the data? Like I said, we just looking at reporters do their research, because we don't got the time to do that much research. We got to live. We got to eat. We got kids. We got tuition. We got all that. Now y'all want me to go yell at or talk to some grown men who should not be scamming us or who should not be lying to us? You're causing me more stress. So people just lose hope and say, Jesus, take the wheel. I'm just going to focus on my kids. But imagine if we do get the right people in these positions, things can change. And if we want to do our own thing, things can change. But if we just in these positions and we just taking orders from a higher power, things are not going to change because that's their system. We just need a totally new, fresh system here, bro, because the people are here, the energy is here. Newark, I think Newark by culture alone is just one of the top cities in this world. By culture alone, just our culture, our energy. And then you add the history of Newark. That just make things crazier. So that's all.
Yeah, guys. So it's been over an hour long. This is probably one of my longest episodes left. I want to thank you again for coming out and appreciate everything you do for us. I know you guys we dropped a lot of information on you. You got a lot to digest and stuff to go over. You have any leaving remarks, any leaving messages?
No. Hit me up on Instagram at Jhamartian, JHAMARTIAN. I'm on LinkedIn, Jhamar Youngblood. I'm on X at Jhamar. I'm on Threads. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm everywhere. Let's chat. Let's share some ideas and let's change our city. And thank y'all for listening. I really appreciate it.
All right, guys. And thank you. And like you said, thank you guys for listening. And you guys already know. Be kind. Once again, keep looking out for other people. Look out after your neighbors. Look out for your friends. Just because Mental Health Awareness Month and Men's Mental Health Awareness Month is over with does not mean that it does not still exist. Especially with everything going on now. Is now more time than ever. We need to go out and really, be for one another. So please, be out, be kind. Do the challenges I've been saying. Go say hi to a random stranger. Go compliment their shirt or something. Take your friend out or ask your friends to take you out. Be aware. Start looking at your media outlets. All y'all doom scrolling, I know you got some influencers out there that are talking about the news going on right now. If you don't trust them, read. Reading is a basic fundamental that we all have. And take 2 seconds to go to Google. And I'm not saying go on the first page and click on the first link. No. Read, research, check and cross-match 2-3 different platforms, and then keep going. Stay safe, stay kind, stay sane, and just be you.
This has been a production of the Essex County College Podcast Club. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.